Hell podcast on the Field of 68 Network. Great to have you back. It's nice to see you. How's everything?
I'm doing great, Pat. Just I'm like everybody else. I think I had most of the week off last week for Christmas. So Tiffany and Kennedy and our two dogs, Rocket and Rue, they got all of Jimmy Dykes that they want, and now it's time to put our nose down and grind through the SEC like we're getting ready to do. And the league's been good. The league's been really good so far, and I follow it as closer than anybody all the time. Talk to you.
Absolutely. So right now we're sitting at, I had to look down, Friday, December 30th. With all the travel we do, I have to always figure out where I am, what day it is.
Right.
Hogs is sitting at 11-2. They're coming off a 60-57 loss to LSU in a game where majority 5 guys played. They 5 of 10 from the free throw line, 4 out of 25, I believe, from the 3-point line. However, they only give up 60 points. And so I'm going to ask you this, because this is a question I've been getting for the last 2 weeks. Without Trevor Brazile and Nick Smith Jr., do you still think that they can have that deep run of the tournament that we all felt they could have at the beginning of the season?
Pat, I do. I just don't know if it can be as deep as I thought it could be. I thought they were one of the 10 or 12 teams that could win the whole thing when I watched them practice and they had everybody on the court. But I don't know, and we don't know the status of Nick Smith going forward, when he comes back, if he comes back, how he's going to look when he comes back. But right now, Arkansas is down 2 first-round draft picks. Well, one of them is a lottery pick, if not a top 5 guy. So there's not a team in the country, Pat, that you remove 2 first-round draft picks and they don't take a hit. Arkansas is not the exception on that. But they still have enough pieces to make that Eric Musselman deep run in March that we've all come to appreciate and expect. But they just have to continue to figure it out on the fly. But as you know, who's been better figuring out their team during the year than Eric Musselman over the last couple of seasons? So getting off to a slippery start in SEC play does not rattle this staff. It should not rattle this fan base. It should not rattle this Arkansas team, because I think Eric Musselman and his staff, they have a way of figuring things out. But it certainly is a big hit right now without those 2 kids. You can't overstate that, I don't think.
Yeah, and obviously we know Brazile. I think I just saw him tweet out that he just had his surgery. And with Nick Smith, you feel for him because he wants to play so bad. And what concerns me is he already had an issue with his knee that he had to sit out. He comes back, and I did that Troy game, which he came back. And he played 10 minutes, but I think it was very good for him to take the sweats off, have the crowd behind him. And then, the next few games he has 20, 25. So he can do it.
I know the exhilarating feeling of getting to take your sweats off, by the way. I remember it. I remember it a handful of times, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, but, you look at it and you go, the kid loves the Razorbacks, loves the state. But my goodness, you look big picture, and there's no way he should obviously rush back. He's got nothing to prove, right? Or I don't know.
Right.
I don't think he does. Maybe I'm looking at it in a lens I shouldn't.
No, from an NBA scout's 10-year big picture view of Nick Smith, he has nothing else to prove. That's just the dynamics in the world we live in college basketball right now. He's a top 7 or 8 pick no matter what happens going forward, unless they get in those NBA physicals and realize this needs a lot worse than we think. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, because I think Nick Smith is a fantastic player. I think he's a fantastic kid from what I've seen, what I've heard about him.
Mm,
I think he plays really, really hard. He's not a prima donna in any way. That dude competes.
mm.
But at the same time, if you're Nick Smith and you're thinking about the amount of money that this guy is going to make in his NBA career if he stays healthy is astronomical. And there's just a lot that goes on in college ball right now. In the football side, guys opting out of bowl games, however you want to put it, that factors in.
Yeah.
But I don't see him as a kid that wants to shut it down and rest on his laurels. I think he's a competitive, hungry dog in the right way that's going to do all he can to get back on that floor for Arkansas.
And so I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the stat sheet now, LSU, and we had two guys play 40, Anthony Black and Ricky Council.
Yeah.
Ricky has been as good as anybody, right? He was 5-9.
How in the world? I didn't watch Wichita State play last year. He was their sixth man. How can you go from the sixth man at an okay Wichita State team to really he's one of the top 5 guys you look at right now and say for the SEC Player of the Year he's in that race. What a flip and what a change and the right buttons that Musselman has pushed on that guy. But go ahead.
You know what? I was who were we talking to? Oh, I was talking to Lamont Paris, South Carolina coach.
Yep.
And they're going through their learning the process right now.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got an NBA player in his team as a freshman, one and done. But he said, we get a collection of guys who the transfers want to prove that their old coach was wrong about them. The guys who stayed on campus want to prove that the coach that just was let go was wrong about them. So I wonder if there's that mentality aspect where some of them want, have that mentality, and where others don't ever find that footing. So I wonder if that's going on with Ricky.
Well, I think that's a great motivation piece, if you use it the right way. And also it's style of play. It's what the coach is asking of you. It's what the coach demands of you. It's the work ethic. It's everything I think has probably escalated for Ricky Council in terms of how hard that Arkansas program works. I know Trayvon Brazile had a little bit of an adjustment period figuring out how hard you have to work if you're a Razorback. But obviously Ricky has been seamless in all those things. So he, let's just say that neither Brazile or Nick Smith come back all year. I knock on wood, I hope that's not the case. You still got enough there with Anthony Black and Ricky Council and the twins, Walsh. Like there's enough guys there to be right in the thick of things in the SEC, although the league is really, really good.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, I was looking at, I was on a podcast earlier today and they were asking about Final Four picks. And I said, you can almost grab one out of every league that's a legitimate Final Four pick. Purdue out of the Big Ten. I went with Virginia out of the ACC. Kansas out of the Big 12. I've had them a couple of times. They are very good again. The Pac-12's got a couple of them. I think Arizona and UCLA. But you look at Alabama and Tennessee and Arkansas, if they were healthy, that's 3 in my eyes legit teams out of the SEC that could be a Final Four caliber team. So Arkansas is going to have to, like everybody else in college ball, you take what's thrown at you, you figure it out, and you fight on. And that's what they're going to have to do. No one's feeling sorry for Arkansas because Nick Smith and Brazile not on the floor.
Yeah, I did the Alabama Mississippi State game the other night, and Alabama is just the one thing that Alabama does everything. They got length, they can shoot, they've got rim protection. I know they gave up 100 to Gonzaga, but if you watching that game, Gonzaga was so good at getting in. They made that mid-range shot. But so I look at the league this year, and Coach Muss has done this the last couple of years. Defense has been the key for them. I mean, you go on the road. You allow your opponent 60 points in their building, you're going to win a lot of those games, right?
Yes.
So overall in the league, it looks like a grinded out, just defensive lows outside of Alabama, and at times maybe Arkansas. There's not a lot of explosive, just offensively skilled guys.
No, there's not. I last week I know that the SEC had 6 in the top 25 in defensive efficiency teams. I mean, my game earlier this week, Auburn and Florida, I saw them there a couple of times. Can either one of these teams score the same amount that Luka Doncic did by himself last night? I didn't know if they'd get to 60, and ended up 61-58. But that comes with conference play, really good athletes, really good coaches, and you're going to have to. And because of that, you're going to have to find a way to score some body blow baskets, blue collar baskets, whatever they are. Can you score off your defense a little bit? Can you get to the free throw line? Can you make some and ones? Because there's not going to be very few possessions in this league will finesse, easy jump shots be made. It's just not going to happen. The league's too good.
What game that you've done do you think a team, because you mentioned the top teams, which team was in that game the most impressive?
UConn. Yeah, to me, overall, it was just talking big picture. It was UConn. I had them at Florida.
What separates UConn?
Well, I think kind of like you said about Alabama, they have everything. They have everything. And if you look at the top teams right now that are out there, let's just talk about Purdue, Arizona, UConn. With except Kansas is the exception to it. To Tennessee in this league, you've got some bruising big guy size at the rim this year. And UConn has two of them in Adama Sanogo, and his backup, kid named Donovan Clingan, is a 7'3", 275-pound dude. Pat, like this guy can play, you know. So they have everything, and they have that Danny Hurley tenacity, fierceness, nastiness about them, and how they play the game. But you know, I've had Kansas twice this year. I had Kansas when they went into Mizzou Arena. It was rocking just like it was the night against Kentucky, against Kansas. Them in the nose. That game was over. Yeah, right. Kansas is tremendous this year. Championship, good. But Tennessee went blow to blow with them. So, you know, you got to have everything. And the one concern that Arkansas has to figure out is, can they shoot the ball well enough to end up being a top 2 or 3 seed. I saw analytical websites right now just to pick up stuff every night. A team that has had a 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed in the SEC tournament, I mean in the NCAA tournament, has shot below like 32% from the 3 on the year. So it tells you the importance of the 3 ball in terms of how good your season is overall, and ultimately how it plays out seeding wise.
Yeah, that
we're gonna have a guest appearance here on the field of 68. Hold on one second. Come here, buddy. He just I love the word relentless in ball. This man right here is relentless.
Look at that.
This is Rocket. He is relentless for your attention.
Rocket.
So Rocket, you're on the podcast right now, my man. I appreciate your love.
What kind of dog is Rocket?
He doesn't know, and we don't know. It's kind of a sensitive subject, Pat. We think we got him from a shelter, which they make great dogs. Yeah. We're pretty sure he's got a lot of Jack Russell in him, some Chihuahua, some Dachshund, but he wants to be right where he is right now, 24 hours a day.
Good for
relentless.
Him. Does he run with you?
He runs with me. Yes. And his little sister, Rue, we don't know where Rue is. She gets lost sometimes because she's so small. She's the black version of him, and he's the white version. They're brothers and sisters that we got at the shelter. So, yeah.
That's always a good way to go. I think we may be getting another one. It's not that I'm not a dog person. It's tough. If I can't talk to something,
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough for me to get along. You know what I mean? I don't know.
you can talk to anything, Pat Bradley. That's one of your strengths.
That's actually a very good point. I don't need the dog doesn't have to answer me back.
No.
That's actually a great point. That's a great point. Well, then Rocket could probably help Kentucky a little bit with his relentless.
Ooh. Oh boy.
I was talking with somebody today on the radio and trying to encapsulate like what's going on with Kentucky, and it's sometimes hard to watch their their offense. It's the I saw them early on, did a couple of the early games, and their offense is it seemed like it lacked movement, play movement, and there was hesitation with players. Should I shoot my shoot pass? Where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? Um, I don't know what Cal or how does Cal kind of fix that and figure it out.
Yeah, well, as soon as we get done with our podcast, I'm getting ready to turn on Kentucky film because I have their next three games in a row. So
Oh,
I'm gonna get a real good dose of what's going on with Kentucky. I'll be able to answer it better 10 days from now than I can right now. But what I've seen, and I'm like you, I had him a couple of times early. Sheway missed most of the off season, and I'm not sure he's 100% back healthy like we saw him last year. So that piece isn't probably what it was. And sometimes, Pat, your pieces just don't fit.
yeah.
I don't know if the pieces fit right now at Kentucky, but I do know this: until Kentucky's dead, they're not dead because there's enough dudes there still with Case and Wallace, and C.J. Frederick has not shot the ball like he shot at Iowa, but he could break out at any moment and go on a blur for 2 months. So there's enough guys there, but right now you look at their resume, which is concerning. Like, where's their win? It was Michigan, and Michigan just got beat by Central Michigan. So that's not they have not beaten a team yet that's going to be in the NCAA tournament. They got a lot of options coming up in the SEC play, but I don't know, man. There's so much pressure, Pat, on that program, from inside and outside.
The thing is, too, Cal will tell you not every guy is built to play at Kentucky, meaning that pressure, that it's not just winning games. You have to win them all. And let me ask you this question about transfers, and you mentioned it because I think that's a big part of it, getting your pieces to fit together.
Yeah.
So how do you work through that in the recruiting process? And because you don't really know sometimes until they get on campus and start practicing with you. I mean, is there a way to do a better job of that from a coach?
And think about this in that transfer portal era that we live in now. As a coaching staff, you got to make fast decisions. You don't have a year or 2 years to follow a kid like you do in high school and really get to know them and see them in adversity, see them when they play bad. I mean, those transfer portal kids are so quickly grabbed up. You're making fast decisions, and you can miss. It's like deciding who you're going to marry after 2 weeks. I don't like those odds of working out really well. So you got to be very, very thorough as fast as you can when you're bringing kids in. I think Eric Musselman has done a great job of that. Even before the transfer portal was cool, he got that going at Nevada, and I think it's reaped a lot of benefits for them at Arkansas. So it's still a gamble. Every coach would tell you that exactly what you just said, that you really don't know until they get there. Sometimes, like you said earlier, sometimes you like kids that came from a losing program because they're hungry to win. They're hungry to prove people wrong. Other times you bring a kid in from a losing program and they don't value winning.
Yeah.
So it's a roll the dice and hope it goes your way.
The other trend I'm seeing is, and I just a lot of times focus obviously on the SEC schools, but some of these new coaches have brought players from their other school with them. How about that? I mean, now that is an advantage. I know, obviously at LSU, they brought Coach McMahon brought a few guys from Murray State, so that familiarity of that is interesting. Sort of thing that's going on with the transfer portal too.
Pat, I think that's probably not talked about enough. I love you brought that up. I think that's a really big deal because look at Dennis Gates. He brought a couple of key guys from Cleveland State. So automatically from the first practice that they have together on the floor, you got a couple of guys that understand exactly what we want done in this program and in this system. I think that accelerates the culture. It accelerates the understanding of how we want to play. It accelerates the buy-in. I think it puts on rapid speed your locker room when guys can say, "Listen, man, when coach says this is what he's saying." I think that's a really big part of that transfer portal. And obviously, if you're a head coach and you leave one school to go to another one, you ain't bringing everybody that raises their hand in the room that says they want to go, right? You're bringing the 2 or 3 that can play and are going to help lead your program with you as a player. We're in that next stop.
Yeah, and that's it's almost when you get like your the AD and the coach are matched together. There are some ADs maybe who are looking at what a coach can bring with him when they hire him. And so it's it is. It's a changing game. It's a changing game. So as you look at the SEC, do you have your obviously there's gonna be a lot of Razorback fans watching this. What are your thoughts as the Hogs enter? I have the Missouri game next week.
Good one.
That's going to be a good one. There are a lot of people, maybe more in central Arkansas, don't really see Missouri as a hated rival. But, being in Fayetteville, proximity is there. And there was we had a 2-game series with them my freshman and sophomore year, I think. And they had good team. It was some wild games. Really wild games. So fast forward to the Hogs. Where do you see them here at the end of the season?
Pat, again, if they were completely healthy, and you don't know about any team going forward, you're always a sprained ankle away from your team changing. But if they were healthy, I would have a hard time separating them, Alabama, and Tennessee. I think they're all 3 very capable of getting to the Final Four, if not winning it. And all the efficiency numbers, the Bart Torviks, the Ken Palms, all the stuff I read, the numbers back that up. But Arkansas is not that. They're not that right now. So I would have to say, as we're 1 game in, I would have to lean heavily on Alabama and Tennessee being the favorites right now.
Yeah.
And then right behind them is that group of Arkansas, Auburn, Missouri. I mean, if there's a national coach of the year out of the SEC right now, it's got to be Coach Gates at Missouri for what he's done. I mean, they were picked, I don't know, next to last, third to last, somewhere in there, and he's flipped that program.
He didn't know anybody's name on their team.
No, exactly.
Who one kid?
Started completely over. So I just the league's going to be so good. You finish in the top 6 or 7, you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. I was looking at, it's what are we 9 weeks away from Selection Sunday or something, maybe 10, somewhere in there. Arkansas right now is sitting on the 2 seed line. So can they hold that spot somewhere between 2, 3, and 4? That's a great regular season. I don't see them. I don't see them rising up to a 1 seed. But you can hang in that 2, 3, and 4 spot. That's absolutely.
Yeah, I think that I think that's you're right about that. Considering with the injuries, we were hoping 2 seed, 3 seed, but I think right in there 3, 4 that'd be pretty dang good for this team. And I'm hoping with the emergence of Missouri, I thought Texas A&M wouldn't be in the position they are in now.
Yeah,
they let a few drop. Looks like Mississippi State's got a chance. Ole Miss is right there. We'll see. LSU's got some wins, so we still got a chance in the league to get 7, maybe 8.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's a phenomenal year if you can do that.
8 would be great.
Yeah. The 2 surprise teams to me are Missouri and Mississippi State. We weren't expecting anything really from either one of them, and they, Missouri's probably gonna be in the top 25. The next poll. So the good news is for Arkansas, you got a lot of chances for really good quality resume wins. The key for the whole league, every team out there, you got to win all your home games. You can't give up one at home, and then you go on the road and win half of them. If you do that, you got we play 18 games, finish up 14-4. Woo, take that and Take that and run with it. Take
Yeah.
that and run with it. And we all know Bud Walton is going to be next to impossible to beating Arkansas and Bud Walton this year.
Right. Yeah, it will be. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know Rockets still there? Is he?
Oh, he's not going anywhere. There he is. He fell asleep. That tells you how good this podcast was. We couldn't keep his attention.
I have a feeling in the next few hours, Rocket's going to know more about Kentucky basketball watching film.
Yes, he will sit right here and watch the entire film with me and have no idea what's going on. He has a great life. And we got to find Rouge. Maybe we wrap her up in a gift somewhere. We got to find her. I don't know where she's at. We'll find her.
So you have Kentucky on Tuesday?
I got Kentucky on Tuesday. I get LSU at Kentucky. Man, it's crazy to this early to say a must win, but whoo.
I know, right?
Right for Kentucky.
You can't.
Because then the next game's at Alabama on Saturday. I got that one.
Ooh, that's at Bama.
At Bama.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fun this year. It's going to be a lot of great matches. It's going to be a really fun year.
Yes, I appreciate you having me on. You're doing great in the studio when I watch you.
Well, I appreciate it. We learned a lot from you back in the day.
I don't know about that, but we had fun trying, didn't we?
Yes, right. All right, I'll let you go. I appreciate you.
Call me anytime. Woo pig.
Woo pig. All right, thank you, Coach.